Hey, happy Tuesday. Hope you're having an awesome day, an awesome week, maybe even an awesome month. Like like March has been fantastic. I love hearing that. That is awesome. I think I've said awesome 42 times already. We're only 15 seconds into this live Q&A, and I'm really wearing out the word awesome. So I want to tell you a quick, short, very ridiculous story today. That's what I'm going to do. I got about 20 minutes until my next thing. I haven't done this in a while. I thought I'll pop on, answer some questions, engage with some folks, and also tell you a ridiculous story that I think you'll think is funny. Who doesn't like funny stories that are ridiculous? So here's the story. A few years ago, my wife, Jenny, who some of you have met via the YouTube, we sometimes will do stuff like this. She said, hey, you're a jerk for the 2 years when you write a book, and then you're a jerk for the 2 years when you sell the book, and that's just not going to work. She said, like, that ain't it, dude. And she didn't use the word jerk. She used a different word that was, I'm going to be honest with you, it was vulgar. It was a vulgar word, and she was right. Like, writing books for me is stressful. Promoting books is stressful, and it just wasn't working anymore. This was a few years ago she said that to me, and I was working on a book about overthinking, and a book about soundtracks and about how your thoughts change your actions, which change your results. So I thought, you know what? I need a new soundtrack. I've written 6 books. I've got all this evidence that, like, it's stressful. I'm a jerk. I'm really tense. I need a new soundtrack that I can listen to internally while I write this book. So what I came up with was light and easy. I wrote it on a Post-it note. Light and easy. The process was going to be light and easy. The experience was going to be light and easy. I wasn't going to act like I'm coming into the coal mine. Like, writers tend to over dramatize the process of writing. They say things like, writing's easy. Just open up a vein and bleed all over the page. Like, holy cow, dude. No wonder we have a hard time writing books. You open a vein and bleed all over that sounds miserable. Like, or we go, I got to go to the coal mine and find the words. Like, real coal miners should punch writers in the mouth constantly. So I decided light and easy, light and easy, light and easy. But here's the thing. I had a lot of built up momentum behind my broken negative soundtracks. Writing books is hard. It's tense. You should be constantly frustrated. I had all these broken soundtracks. And maybe you do right now too. Maybe you're watching this and you're a mom. And you're a mom, and they say to you, like, okay, hey, you were 5 minutes late in the car pickup line. Like, a teacher says that to you, and you feel terrible, and you start this broken soundtrack of, I'm the worst mom in the world. And the reason you feel that so quickly is you've listened to that soundtrack. Like, you've already let that soundtrack play like 100 times, 1,000 times, maybe it's been playing your kid's entire elementary school. So it's quick to fire up. So in order to change a soundtrack, you have to be deliberate. Remember, there's 3 things in my book, Overthinking, about soundtrack. In my book, Soundtracks about Overthinking, I'm going to teach you how to do 3 things. Retire broken soundtracks, replace them with new ones, and repeat them so often they become as automatic as the old ones. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing if you could learn how to choose thoughts that actually work for you, not against you? Like, can you believe how fun that would be? Well, here's the reality. You can. Like, you can. I'll show you how. So I knew I needed something more than just a hope, something more than just a Post-it note that said light and easy. So I was at the running store in our town, and what's in this bag is ridiculous, but that's the story. And I was at Fleet Feet, which is in Brentwood, right down the road from me. It's where I buy my running shoes. And they had a pair in there that was ridiculous. They were the craziest things you've ever seen. I'm about to show you. I'll show you in a second. They looked like if you were a Keebler elf, like if you were a Keebler elf, you know, the ones that live in the trees and make the delicious cookies, like, shout out. I don't know why I pointed to the ceiling. They're not dead that I'm aware of. I think they're still in a tree somewhere making amazing cookies. But these shoes look like what a Keebler elf would wear if that Keebler elf was also in Tron. Like, the 2 things kind of go together. And I picked them up, and they were the lightest shoe I'd ever worn in my life. And they had a carbon fiber plate, and they were designed to, like, shave time off the world record for the marathon. They were insane. And I thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy these shoes, and I'm only going to wear them when I write. When I write the book, I'm going to do a Mr. Rogers. I'm going to bust out a Mr. Rogers, change into these shoes every time I write, as a trigger to my brain. Hey, it's writing time. Remember, writing time is light and easy. Writing time is light and easy. Writing time is light and easy. Was that silly? Of course it was. But here's another one of my soundtracks. It's not weird if it works. It's not weird if it works. Like if you figure out something that works for you, somebody else might go, oh, that's weird. I don't even care. It's not weird if it works. So I bought the shoes and I want to show you what they look like. Bum, bum, bum. Look at that thing. That is, can we agree that is a ridiculous shoe? I mean, I want to show you the back. Do you see the point on that thing? Can you even see how pointy the back is? It looks like you would scrape something, like you could scrape ice off your car with that. Look at the bottom. The bottom is ridiculous. The shoelaces are on the side. Like it's so thin, you can see your hand through it. Like you can see my hand in there. They're ridiculous shoes. And I only wore them every time I sat down to write the book. And I said, when I'm finished with the book, I get to wear these in a half marathon. So that's what I'm going to do. This October, me and my daughter, hopefully, if they have it, are going to run a half marathon. And I'm going to wear these. And here's the deal. Like these are elite runner shoes. I'm not an elite runner. I'm not. Like we went skiing once and we saw this kid doing pizza down the mountain and he was like a teenager and he had no shirt on. And we were like, dude, if you're going to do spring skiing with no shirt, you can't do pizza. Like you got to earn no shirt. Like that's a boss move. These are boss shoes. I'm not at that level, but they really helped me finish the book. I mean, look at the front. It's ridiculous. So I believe in the power of soundtracks. And here's the thing. Let me post it. Let me paste that right here. Let me see if I have it. No, that's a YouTube video. I'll post a link. All right. Soundtracksbook.com. If you pre-order before April 5th, I'll send you the entire audiobook for free. Whole audiobook before April 5th. Now, I said I'd ask and answer some questions. So I'm going to jump into the comments. If you guys have any questions, I've got 15 minutes. Let's do rapid fire. If there's anything I can help you with, I'd love to answer some questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll just say, I don't know the answer to that. If you say like, who's a good illustrator for a children's book? I haven't written a children's book, so I don't have an answer for that. All right. Chris, the language of soundtracks has completely infiltrated the way I think about thinking. I love to hear that. Once you understand the metaphor of soundtracks, you're going to see it everywhere. You're going to go, my family has soundtracks. Like one of our family soundtracks in the Acuff family is early is on time. We like to show up early. Another soundtrack, we don't arrive hungry. When we go on road trips to see somebody, we don't show up hungry. We don't roll in at 6 o'clock like, give us some dinner, feed us. Unless there's a dinner planned, we don't show up hungry like we eat before so that people don't feel like they have to serve us when we get there. All right. People are on the launch team. Judith, thanks for being on the launch team. Let's see. Poor coal miners. I know. Thanks for doing this. Just finished Soundtracks launch team. Have to point out that it is a really special book. Thanks for saying that, Addison. Great advice. By the way, are those Lego supercars on the shelf? Yes, they are, dude. That's the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. That's the Porsche 911. That's the Bugatti Chiron. That it's not a supercar, but it's super to me. That is the Ghostbusters Ecto 1. And I'm working on the Defender Lego car right now. I could talk about that all day. Yeah, these are the shoes. I put them in the book. Let's see. Are the elves in your ceiling? They're not. Some folks have running shoes. I've got riding shoes. Exactly. Woo! Lois has a rider's hat. Brilliant. I love that. Your symbol, like one of the chapters in Soundtracks talks about how to make a soundtrack stick with a symbol. Like symbols are really powerful ways to make a soundtrack stick. And that's what these were. These were assigned to my brain like, hey, it's go time. It's writing time. It's not messing around time. It's going to be light and easy like this shoe because the shoe is incredibly light, but it's go time. Okay, I keep finding soundtracks that need to be retired after a long time in residence. I know. You're going to be shocked. Like, here's the thing. Here's the promise, guys. If you read soundtracks, you're going to be shocked how many untrue things you've been listening to about yourself. Like I want to help you change the story you tell yourself about yourself. Like that's my goal. I want to help you change the story you tell yourself about yourself, because the story you'll hear more than any other story ever is the one you tell yourself about yourself. And most people have an unkind story on loop. They have a negative soundtrack. And so I want to help us figure out, how do we change that? How do we do those three things? Retire broken soundtracks, replace them with new ones, repeat the new ones so often they become as automatic as the old ones. Retire or replace or repeat. All right. Okay, let's see what other questions. The shoes are definitely green because of the alien technology. I pre-ordered the book. I saw it on Pedro's challenge. Awesome, Janelle. That was so fun. I'm such a huge fan of Pedro. Like, that was not shtick by any means. Like, he is amazing and has been so kind to me. What about negative soundtracks about other people? Great question, Christine. So I would argue you have a soundtrack for every person in your life. Like, we all have that friend. Let's be honest, because they're probably not on this broadcast right now. We all have that friend that when we get a text notification from them, we don't even have to see or read the text. We already have a response. We're like, oh, geez, he's going to ask me for another favor. This guy always asks me for favors. So what I figured out is, okay, I want to change my soundtracks for people. Like, so there's times when I'll have a meeting with somebody and I'll know, okay, in that meeting, I'm going to be tempted to have a negative soundtrack about them. So I'm going to write a different one and actually bring that mentally with me to the meeting because I want to have a good soundtrack for that relationship. Oh yeah, Crystal, I'm stealing your phrase, high octane. I'm done saying I'm ADD or hyper. Yeah, high octane. Same here. Like, I did a podcast the other day and somebody's like, you are high energy. And that's what they were saying. And I'm like, cool, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. Do you keep a journal by your bed when you think about something you don't want to forget? So the journal I use is this. I go through seasons with that. I'm not doing it right now because I find that sometimes my brain gets trained to come up with ideas like right before bed, and it's not helpful. Like, I need to kind of turn off. So I keep this journal and I collect a running list of ideas all day long. And I have, let me see, I'm up to like 140 right now, and they're not all good ideas. Like, they're not all quality ideas, but I want to kind of keep them and come back to them. Like the other day I wrote a tweet, people can't help you unless they know you need help. Like, I'm not good at asking for help. So like, you guys will hear me say, because I'm really trying to be better at that, hey, pre-order the book. Like, it's so helpful to me if you pre-order the book because it tells Amazon that they need to have some in stock so it doesn't go out of sale on the first day it comes out. A lot of people don't know that happens on Amazon. Unless people pre-order your book, they run out of your book on the day it releases. And then for 2 weeks, your book's not sold. And that kills every book launch campaign. Every book launch campaign, when the book sells out on day one, is ruined because nobody wants to wait 2 more weeks for a book. So like, if you pre-order, it tells Amazon, hey, we should have some of these on stock, and then it doesn't go out of sale the first day, which is huge. So this is me saying, like, so I wrote down, people can't help you unless they know you need help. And I was like, oh, well, then I need to ask people to pre-order the book. All right. Okay, Sanji, why do soundtracks we hear as kids influence us well into adult life, even when we know better? I think soundtracks when you're kids are stickier. I think that as a kid, they're stickier. I think often we've heard them from somebody in authority. So like, the weight of that soundtrack weighs more because it's been a parent, it's been a teacher, it's been an adult, some other adult, and it weighs heavier. Like, when you're a kid, I just think that they weigh heavier and they tend to be sticky. And it can be 20 years, 25 years later, you're still carrying that around. I think in my opinion, that's why it happens. What broken soundtrack did you replace in order to go from a guy with book ideas to a guy with finished books? Great question, Mark. I talk about that to a degree in soundtracks, but really it was going, I think I can be a public speaker. I think I can be a writer. I think I can do both of those things. And then I started to figure out, okay, how do I turn those thoughts into actions? The goal of soundtracks isn't just to give you a bunch of new thoughts. Like, that's ultimately not helpful. The goal of soundtracks is you turn those thoughts, those soundtracks, into new actions and into new results. Like, I genuinely believe you can change your life if you change the way you think, because it'll change your actions, it'll change your results. So for me, I started with, I think I can write a book, to what are the actions that it would take to write a book, to I wrote a book. Like, that was there tons of hard work in there? There totally was. But I also realized how I work. Like, self-awareness is super helpful. So for instance, I need an audience. I need to be connected. Like, I create better ideas when I know there's somebody I'm serving. I don't create ideas that are great alone in this office with no audience in mind. It helps me to know, okay, Mark asked this question, Addison asked this question, Chris Valencia asked this question. I'm going to create something that helps them with that question. That's the way I create best. So I came up with a new thought, came up with some new actions, and then made sure that the results reflected how I'm wired, which is I need to serve an audience. All right. Addison, I'm a freelance videographer, but I have a hard time believing I should be paid despite making stuff people tell me is good. How do I flip that? Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. So, I mean, there's actually something in here that's going to help you a ton about that specific thing. So I won't spoil it for you because I think you already pre-ordered the book. But there's something in here about that specific thing that helped me a lot with what I sell. The other thing is that it changes everything. If you get paid, it changes things. One of the things that helped me was that I realized that the more I charged, the more people valued my work. Like when I was a freelance copywriter, that's kind of one of the ways I got started. When I raised my rates, people valued the work. They said, okay, wow, this is great work. Even if when I went from free to X amount of dollars to even more amount of dollars, their perception of the quality of the work changed based on what I charged. So my ability to charge more helped me actually get more jobs. It helped me keep long-term clients. And so, for me, that's a big part of it. And then the other thing is, Addison, you have a friend in your life who is great at charging for things. Like, go partner with that person, link arms and be like, hey, I'm not good at charging for things. You're awesome. Can you help me? Will you hold me accountable? Like, will you be connected to me on that? Yeah. So any advice on the soundtracks old wounds leave behind? Broken relationships can produce broken soundtracks. Totally. I think the first thing to do is to admit them. I think so often we don't admit that. We don't give ourselves permission to feel. I'll just tell you, I've got a friend, Ben. I'm about to go walk with him in 5 minutes. We're going to go on a walk around the neighborhood. Hopefully it won't rain on us. And I'll never forget, like 2 years ago, Ben said to me at coffee, he said, yeah, I feel sad about this situation. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And maybe it's a dude thing. I don't know. But I was just like, wait, are we allowed to say I feel sad? Like we get to say that, like we have access to that word. And it just hit me how very few times in my life I'd said, I'm afraid, I'm sad, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed. Like I hadn't processed so many of my feelings. So sometimes, Chris, just being able to say in a journal to another person, I'm sad about this broken relationship. I'm afraid about this broken relationship. Like that to me is the start of so many good things. Let's see. Do I wear the shoes for different reasons now, or we save it for the next book because there's always another book in the queue, like said, like a true writer? Yeah, Janelle, I'm going to hopefully run in these in October in a half marathon. So that'll be tied to that book. I'll get a different pair of shoes for the next book. I'm always looking for an excuse to buy new running shoes. Half of running is buying gear, which I think is like half of any hobby. Like half of fishing is like buying gear. Like bikes. I got a road bike because I just wanted gear. I'm not a cyclist, but I got one because I was like, oh, look at all the cool gear, except for the clothes. The clothes are whack. Bonnie, please thank Jenny for me for the magic fairies. Yeah, that's a fun concept, isn't it? I gave her some business cards once about it said like magic fairy assassin on it. Michael Morris. Yeah, it's ridiculous how excited I am for the next Lego catalog. Like I go to the mailbox every day, like today could be the day. The last one was in January. It was all right. And then Christmas, they release a bunch. Like I'm thinking about my next Lego set constantly. Okay, Addison, the part I'm referring to is about Legos. Go back to that soundtrack. It's about Legos. All right, we got like 3 minutes and then I got to go walk. Okay, Dinar, it completely changed the outcome of the meeting, changing your soundtracks. That's awesome. I was better able to respond and it made for a really positive outcome with our CEO. Dude, I love that. That's fantastic. Okay, I realized while reading the book that I'm sometimes motivated by rebellion, you can't do this so I can prove them or myself wrong. Obviously, this is unhealthy. Any tips for getting over this? So Leslie, here's my thing. One, I don't know if it's wrong. I think it can be unhealthy. I think anything healthy can be unhealthy. Like that's true of anything. Like vitamins, if you ate an entire bottle of vitamins all at once, that would be unhealthy. So I would sit for that for a minute. Like, I don't know if it's unhealthy. I do think that proving somebody else wrong gets toxic pretty quickly. Like proving the haters wrong, I don't think is a good long-term fuel. I'm working right now to kind of think through like, what's a good fuel? Like what's a sustaining fuel? I'm working on a new book idea that might involve some of that. So I agree with you. I don't think proving other people wrong is a good long-term sustainable fuel because I think it burns you up. But I do think there's some degree of I'm going to prove to myself I can do it. So maybe that's your flip. You know how we talked about flipping soundtracks? What if you flipped, you can't do this, to like, watch me do this? And it was only internal. It had nothing to do with other haters, nothing to do with other people. Like, I just don't think that's a good long-term fuel. I agree with you on that. All right. Oh, right. Brittany. Okay, this is the last thing. Brittany says, I haven't been able to stop thinking about the fact that there is no opposite word for trauma, right? Is that, and I didn't come up with that. That was that was Roy Baumeister and Paul Rozin, R-O-Z-I-N. Yeah, that part of the book. I think it's the second chapter. Like that for me, when I read that, I was like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was super fun. And then Charles, last one. How do you know what to charge or change for a book? I self-publish them. You mean like edit? How do you know what to do edits? Yeah, for me, I need outside people. I don't know what to change for a book. I'll tell you this, and then I'll bounce because I got to go walk with Ben. My very second book, not my very first, my second book, Quitter. I had it all outlined. I had it like chapters, and the editor came in and was like, nope, the last chapter is actually the first. And he completely flipped it, and he was right. This guy name was Brent Cole. He was like, no, the last chapter is actually the first, and I just didn't see it. So if it were me and you were asking a question of how do I know what to keep, how do I know what to change, I would invest in editing. The temptation is to invest in marketing first, and marketing's great, but invest in editing. Invest in editing. Okay, charge for a book. How much you should charge for, how do you know what to charge for a book? I self-publish some. Oh, that one's way easier. If it were me, Charles, I would figure out what people are paying in the marketplace. Like, you have the easiest way to figure that out. Go to Amazon, figure out who in my space is charging what, and then find your spot. Like, okay, like get a sense of here's what 10 people in my space are charging, and then find your spot in that kind of range of charges. That's what I would do. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Can't wait to give you guys a copy of this book. Remember, if you pre-order before April 5th, you get the whole audiobook for free. It's read by me. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Thanks.